Hi, my name is Stephen Lehigh. I teach economics at CSM here. I think my colleagues have done a great job of kind of presenting the tangible components of the workload issue. One of the things that I just wanted to kind of talk about is we had this discussion on Academic Senate where I serve as a senator, and for me everything is about quantifying stuff. That's what economics is. And so when this came up, I tried to basically try to metricize what was going on with the workload issue. And one of the things that becomes apparent, right, is that faculty staffing and hiring is completely related metric-wise, right, to the number of students that we have. And so if you look at, say, the numbers at CSM over the last decade, we've seen a decrease in enrollment of roughly 15%, 16%, somewhere in that range, where our ratio of load, which basically is, right, number of faculty teaching classes per student, is the same. And so that implies, right, that what's happening is essentially, right, we're correlating staffing to that population, which makes sense only if you consider what we do in the class. The problem is what we do outside of the class, right, is not variable relative to the number of students. So serving on Academic Senate, all the committee work that we're talking about, doing program review, curriculum, those things are, right, division-based, department-based. Those are not necessarily related to how many students I have in my class or the fact that we might offer a few less econ classes, right? And so that burden, right, is then getting distributed over a smaller and smaller population. And so I think a lot of what not only people are addressing in terms of an increase in workload, in terms of what's being asked of us, but secondly, right, how it's getting spread is now starting to increase as well. And so there's kind of this passive increase in workload that's happening as well, and it's more because it just doesn't get quantified, right? Like we associate metric teaching to how much do we produce in terms of students per teacher. And we don't necessarily think about all of this outside work that's happening that does need to get done, that's part of benefiting the community and the college itself, right? But we're basically distributing it more and more and more onto people, and I think that that's really indicative of why we feel frayed and why we feel overworked in a sense, is because every time you kind of come up, it's like we have another committee, who wants to work on it, and you feel like you've already done, you know, you're already involved in many of those things, and so it's not that those things shouldn't be created, but I think oftentimes those initiatives get created in a vacuum of, this is a good idea, how do we then staff it? And there's less and less people to pull from, at least from our campus. And that part of it then requires you to serve more and more and more in order to kind of make up that difference. And I think as people have said, we're motivated by the success of our students, and most of us are not going to turn that down. Right? We are there to basically make sure that our students continue to succeed, and we want to pursue these really beneficial initiatives that people come up with, right? But it does start to fray you over and over as you continue to kind of spread thinner and thinner and thin. And so I just wanted to kind of present that aspect.
Thank you.